Hey, what's up, Jurassic fam? Welcome back to another one of my vlogs, a day in the life of a lab technician. So today I want to show you one of the vehicle bays. This is where, we load in all the dinosaurs with, our advanced vehicle technology. So this is not my field at all, but I figured I'd show it off today. So, oh my God. You're Rexy. Ma'am, it would be an honor to be eaten by you.
Well, if it isn't you again, welcome to the video where I talk about, review, and rank every single Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movie in preparation for World Rebirth, because that's coming out soon. Now, of course, in order to start, I am going to be talking about Jurassic Park, the original from 1993.
We've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
So, Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think it's a very good movie. It's very well crafted, very well made, and it feels kind of weird starting a video where I review every movie in a franchise where the first movie is like leaps and bounds the best one. I'm kind of afraid that there's not much that I can say that will add anything new to the conversation because it's been talked about a lot. I'm kind of just here like, yeah, guys, it's a great fucking movie, but you probably already know that. But in case you don't know, here's what Jurassic Park is. So this guy named John Hammond, played by one of the Attenborough brothers, he's like, hey guys, we extracted blood from a mosquito that we found in some amber down in a mine, and we're gonna fucking use that blood to get DNA, dino DNA, and we're gonna make a theme park where we bring back dinosaurs, and it's gonna go perfectly. What could go wrong? And then everything goes wrong. He's basically being sued or something, and so he brings on a few kind of professionals in the field to basically sign off on the park, to be like, hey, this is a great idea and you should continue. He invites along Alan Grant. He's the guy that dig up fossil. Ellie Sattler, she's the person that is like a paleobotanist or something. She knows plants from the Jurassic and whatever era. And then they also invite along Dr. Ian Malcolm, who is a chaotician or a chaos theory mastermind. Ian Malcolm is, of course, played by Jeff Goldblum. The other two are also played by wonderful, fantastic actors, but I feel the need to point out Jeff Goldblum because it's Jeff Goldblum and you should understand. Also, he has the scene where he's like sexy, like in his shirt or whatever, laying down. You know the one. But also on this island are Hammond's grandchildren, of which there are two. Some fucking lawyer guy, Dennis Nedry, Samuel L. Jackson, some like hunter guy. He's not a hunter, but he's like a badass professional animal wrangler, handler type of thing. The dinosaurs break through, certain limits within the park, attack the people, the humans. People die, and yeah, it's great. I love dinosaurs. If you've ever watched one of my videos before, you know that I'm a big sucker for good characters, and I think that this movie has a lot of good characters, which helps me enjoy a movie because it makes me root for and or root against the people, which makes me enjoy the movie more. I especially think Alan is like, he's like, Perfect. He's really good in this movie. I really like his development because he's kind of like this sort of stubborn guy that doesn't like children at all. And then, well, hey, would you look at that? There are a couple kids on this ride, and then he has to protect them, and he learns to love them slowly. So I really like his character development. It's quite good. And then, like, all of the characters are just great because they're portrayed fantastically. Like, does Samuel L. Jackson really do anything in this movie? No. But it's Samuel L. Jackson. And like Dennis Nedry is a fucking goofball that I love to watch. Dennis Nedry is the guy that is going against Hammond and his company, which is InGen. He's trying to steal the dino DNA. He puts it in the classic iconic Barbasol can, and he's going to like sell it to some rival company for money because he wants money. Also, can you believe to learn that the dinosaurs are fucking awesome? Part of what makes like good dinosaurs in this franchise is how well they're implemented. Part of it is like how they're implemented visually, and visually this movie is gorgeous. They have both practical and digital dinosaurs, so practical puppetry, that's animatronics and animated and whatnot, and then part of it is CGI dinosaurs, which are usually like kind of like the larger group type scenes with the dinosaurs. The interesting thing about Jurassic Park is that this first movie somehow tends to have, I think, the CGI dinosaurs that hold up the best, and it's from 1993. The rest of the movies, sometimes it's kind of distracting. In this movie, I don't know what it is. I don't know how, because it's clearly not like perfect, right? It does stand out as being like, well, that's not there for real. That's added in post. But some reason it just looks really good. And I think part of what helps is when they implement it. Like, they're very specific about when they use dinosaurs or when they switch over to digital. Like Rexy, the T-Rex from the first movie, when she first shows up, it's raining, there's like lightning and whatever, and it's nighttime, it's dark out. There are certain scenes where she is practical, but there are also scenes where she is digital. And when she's digital, I think it looks incredible because they chose to do it in the dark and during rain, which allows for some really good looking dino. I want to say that there are like kind of 4 main dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. The first one, there's of course the T-Rex, also known as Rexy. She is beautiful and gorgeous and my favorite, fictional dinosaur ever. And then there's the raptors, specifically velociraptors, are pretty cool. Rexy is kind of like the secondary antagonist, but more so anti-hero. And the raptors are the primary antagonist, I would say. They're just clever dinosaurs that hunt in packs, that communicate with each other, that can open fucking doors. So those are kind of the 2 main dinosaurs. And then aside from that, I'd say like probably like the Brachiosaurus, which is the long neck dinosaur. The Brachiosaurus, this is a theme we'll see continue throughout the franchise, tends to be the dinosaur that introduces people to seeing dinosaurs for the first time. So the Brachiosaurus fulfills this very special role where they are kind of like the awe-inspiring dinosaur. They're like, wow, I'm captivated right now and my heart is full looking at you, kind of thing. But then also, aside from that, I'd say probably the Dilophosaurus, which is the frill neck lizard, basically, that spits poison or whatever. And the Dilophosaurus is the one that kills Nedry. There's a sick dinosaur at one point that Ellie Sattler sticks her hand in the mound of poo for. That dinosaur could maybe be considered one of the main ones. So yeah, in this first movie, there's kind of 4 what I kind of call hero dinosaurs, not necessarily in their role story-wise, just like they are kind of the main dinosaurs that are being pushed and being like, these are the ones that are going to be like a highlight of something in some way. Also, another thing about this movie is just that everything is so well thought out. Like every minute detail is just kind of well done. The set design, the individual like props and stuff they do, like in the main like kind of hall area or building, whatever it is, the columns have like dinosaur fossils in them, and there's like, you see that there's actual like Jurassic Park merchandise in movie that, you know, looks like stuff that would exist outside of the movie. Everything here was just thought out. And then I'm going to do a segment which I'm going to do for all of these movies, where I list off the iconic moments from the movies. When I was like taking notes and reviewing them, I made a list of just the most iconic moments from the film. Like some definitely have kind of burst outside into the mainstream, but also some that just, even if the movie itself wasn't that big of a success and thus doesn't really reach, you know, popular culture that often, scenes that just are so like, just like you look at it and you go, wow. Alan scares a child at the beginning of the movie at the dig site. Basically, there's this little child that is, he's just talking down about dinosaurs and velociraptors, and Alan is like, no, I'm gonna scare the hell out of this child. Alan seeing dinosaurs for the first time, it's, you know, when he like takes down the sunglasses, removes his hat, and then he grabs like Ellie's head and like turns her to look at the dinosaurs, and it's really funny. Mr. DNA and the way he says dinosaurs. Nedry having a gaffe while getting paid. So he's getting paid in the opening of the movie, and he's like having such a fun time. It's just a blast to watch. The baby raptor being born out of the dinosaur egg, which I'm now realizing is a parallel between this movie and Jurassic World. The difference is it looks good in this movie. The sick Triceratops and poop mound, the cup of water rippling. That's the scene that everyone knows. There's a cup of water in the car. When Rexy shows up, her footsteps are so powerful it causes ripples in the water. Rexy in the rain and her roar. Rexy's roar is one of the best sound effects in anything ever, and I stand by that, and it gets me every time. The car getting attacked, Ian leading Rexy away. He uses a flare and runs away to lead her away from the children. The lawyer getting chomped on the toilet. It's just funny. Alan and the kids feeding the brontosaurus from the tree. Nedry acting a goof when he's nervous. Just really good, like, nervous acting there. The Barbasol can. Nedry getting spit on by the Dilophosaurus. The stampede in the field. The electric fence climb. You clever girl. Or how, I don't remember his accent, but you know, he says that to the raptor, the hunter guy. Life will find a way, as is said by Ian Malcolm. Whatever that sexy pose is that Ian does. Driving away from Rexy. All of the kitchen raptor scene. The entire thing. It's just great horror. The raptor toe tapping. They're like tapping their claws on the ground. The kids and everyone go in the vents, and then the raptor pops his head up, which pushes the little girl up while she's on top of the vent. The raptor shadow on the wall with her painting. There's a painting of a raptor, and then her shadow shows up over, like juxtaposed over the painting. Swinging from the skeletons. They're all swinging from the skeletons in the end. And then Rexy saves the day. You know, when she ends up killing the raptors and saves the humans from the raptors. So yeah, Jurassic Park, incredible movie, one of my favorites of all time. And now it's time for the next movie.
And now it's only a matter of time before this lost world is found and pillaged.
Now we have The Lost World, Jurassic Park from 1997. This is definitely a step down from the original, as everything is, but I still think that this one holds up quite well, and I think that it is like a fun movie to watch. In my mind, there are kind of like two main differences between this and the original. The first is that there's kind of like a group of bad guy humans. So humans are antagonists in this movie, and consequently, as a result, the second is that the dinosaurs end up kind of taking on this hero role. Now, we've already kind of seen this with Rexy, where she is kind of an anti-hero of sorts, where she saves the day, but all in all, humans were the good guys that were trying to survive the like evil killer dinosaurs, whereas now it's humans are trying to do bad things to the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs are good and need saving. So the general plot of this one is that InGen has been taken over by a new guy. His name is Ludlow, and they are sending people to Jurassic Park, and basically they're sending people to the island so they can capture dinosaurs and bring them to one of the California cities where they have built a park so that they could bring dinosaurs to the United States. But also Hammond kind of knows that some buffoonery is going on, so he sends his own people over, and that includes Dr. Ian Malcolm, because his girlfriend is there. Basically, Hammond is, trying to be kind of good about things. In the first movie, Hammond is an idiotic man who tries to play God, and he's a very interesting character because he's full of himself in a way that he's very like, even if this is a failure and people have died, we have to keep doing this because people need dinosaurs. This needs to happen. And by the end of the movie, he kind of learns that it was probably maybe a mistake, and it's a problem and should shut the park down. And then in this movie, he's still in love with dinosaurs, and he's kind of trying to do something to help save them because currently they're just on the island. They've found a way to live. There are definitely like some pacing issues in this movie, and there are several characters that are kind of just like forgettable. Even the movie kind of forgets about them because they don't show up or do anything for certain like acts within this, and I'm like, where are they? So it's not perfect, but I like the general plot. I think it's fun. I like the kind of further deep dive into Ian Malcolm's kind of character. In the previous movie, he says that he's always looking for the next ex-Malcolm because his relationships never work out. And then in this movie, he has a girlfriend and he's like trying to really protect her, but he doesn't really know how to be there for her. And his daughter is here now. So you get a really fun like relationship dynamics, even though the daughter fucking is absent for a lot of this movie when she should be there. Ian Malcolm's girlfriend's name is Sarah Harding. She was into dinosaurs, and then she got the opportunity when Hammond called her to go and see dinosaurs in real life, so she did that. Ian's daughter kind of continues this pattern that we'll see where a character is here and they just kind of have like one skill that's kind of like offhandedly mentioned that ends up helping save the day in one way or another. In Jurassic Park, the original, it was the girl Lex who was a hacker, so she was able to like use the park's systems to help lock doors. In this movie, Ian's daughter is a gymnast, so she does some little flips around a bar and kicks a raptor. Yep. There are also two other guys with Ian and Sarah and the daughter. I don't remember their names, but they're both good guys. Oh, one of them is played by fucking, what's his name? Vince Vaughn. And the other guy is the surrogate father from The Good Doctor, which is sad that I know that. I really like Ludlow as a villain. I think he's good. He plays the role well. But then also Peter Stormare plays a character. He's, a bad guy, but he's a fun asshole to watch. Also, I realized I lied to you. This movie does not take place on the main Jurassic Park island, Isla Nublar. This takes place on Site B, which is Isla Sorna. Once again, the dinosaurs are pretty great. We have not one, but two T-Rexes. The two Rexes are kind of nicknamed Buck and Doe. Ooh, Ooh, buddy, like, listen, give me Rexy, but if you're gonna give me Buck and Doe and how wonderful they are, I'm not gonna be upset. I love them both. They look fantastic. Again, a decent amount of like practical puppetry going on for certain scenes. They have a baby. They are trying to go after the baby because one of the bad guys like hurt the baby or whatever, and then Sarah ends up help the baby, so the Rexes come after them because they got the baby. The other kind of like quote unquote hero dinosaur is going to be the compies in this one. They're the little guys and they're pretty great in this one. They have some really fun scenes in general that I enjoy, and raptors are here too. I don't really love them as much in this movie. They're not as intimidating, they're not as scary as the first movie. It kind of feels like they were an afterthought, and it just doesn't work as good. They could have been any dinosaur really, and I would have said, yeah, all right. So yeah, I think The Lost World is definitely not as good as the original, but it has some really fun parts, especially what makes this movie like stick out in my brain at the end. They succeed in bringing Buck, the T-Rex, over to California, and motherfucker goes on a rampage in suburbia, and it's fantastic. It is just everything I could hope for in putting dinosaurs in America in the real world. This is how to do it successfully. I'm looking at you, Jurassic World movies. This is how you do it in a good way and make it thoroughly entertaining. So now we're on to that time where I go through the iconic moments. The opening of the movie where the little girl gets attacked by the compies on the beach. Buck and Doe looking through the vehicle windows. Again, this is where it's like practical puppetry. Ooh, it looks good. It looks so good. The entire scene where Eddie saves the others. Eddie is the guy played by Good Doctor Dad. This includes his death. So Eddie is just like a really good guy. He looks after the daughter. He saves them from like a falling vehicle that's like going over a cliff basically, and he's just putting in the work to be a good, outstanding dude and save the day. And then he dies, and I think this is probably the second most like brutal death in the franchise. He doesn't deserve it at all. He's like a great dude, and he gets eaten where both of the Rexes, Buck and Doe, take a piece on either end of him and like rip him in half, and I'm like, whoa, oh, you don't deserve that. But also, that was fantastic. The dino rampage on the InGen camp, the Rex face through the waterfall, I don't know which Rex it is. Peter Stormare's compy attack, he gets attacked by a bunch of little compies, by a little horde of them, and there's one part where one's kind of like biting on his lip, and it's just really well done. There's a raptor jump scare where the girls are trying to dig out from under a wall so they can crawl under. Then a raptor like sticks his head under like the area where they were digging, and it's just a great jump scare. Every single scene where Buck is in San Diego, that's the name of the place. First, you see Buck outside of like a residential home, and then he goes through like the streets. Oh, truly, it makes me question the world movies. Oh, and then it's baby feeding time. Buck feeds his little baby by feeding him Ludlow, the bad guy. So it's great. And then the final shot of the movie, they reveal the pterosaurs. They show that they're a thing. So yeah, that's Jurassic Park 2, aka The Lost World, and it's time for the next movie.
I've chartered an airplane to fly us over Isla Sorna, and we'd like you to be our guide.
It's time for Jurassic Park 3 from 2001. This isn't a great movie. I think it's still fun. It's like, like there are a lot of parts where I go, no, don't love it. And then there are some parts where I go, okay, that was fun. Yeah. That was good. So this one brings back Alan Grant, and Alan is kind of perfect in this movie. Like, he is to me a perfect version of the character. So I really appreciate him being here. It feels like a good evolution for him because he's become, rightfully so, fairly jaded in life. He doesn't really like dinosaurs that much no more, and I think it's kind of funny. He has a little mentee, underling, whatever, whose name is Billy. I don't care. And then there's also a family. They're the Kirbys, and basically they're the reason Alan is on the island. Their son got trapped or lost on the island. Father and Mother Kirby trick Alan into going to the island to help find their son. Honestly, they're just they're annoying throughout the movie. Not all the time, but they are annoying. I like that they are kind of an authentic feeling family. The mother and father are split. They are not together. I like that they genuinely care about each other, though. I think they're decent. They are also annoying. The son's name is Eric. He doesn't honestly do that much. I like some of the parts with him because he kind of gives like life advice to Alan, which is funny. He's basically like, I read both of your books. The first one was better because you actually liked dinosaurs then. He also basically convinces Alan that he loves Ellie. Ellie is also in this movie, sorta. She has a husband or a boyfriend, and they have a child together. In order to call for rescue, Alan gets like one phone call on the sat phone, and he calls Ellie to help save them. And at the end of the movie, you see that Ellie called like fucking everyone she could. She's like, call the Coast Guard, call the government, call, I don't care. Everyone, we are getting my boy Alan out of there. And it's funny. I think that's a realistic thing that she would do, and it's good. The plot itself is kind of like nothing. It's a bit of a nothing burger. They're there to find Eric, and then when they find Eric, the plot is go to this place so there can be an attraction for the viewers. It's not really a tight plot. It doesn't really do much for itself. It's not great. Like I said, it's kind of just to get things from point A to point B, and they want the different points to be entertaining. The visuals are definitely worse in this movie. I think they use more like digital effects than they did previous ones. I will say The Lost World also doesn't look as good as the original, but they still have great scenes with some great like physical puppetry. This one, I just kind of remember looking not the best. It was a little distracting sometimes just because I was like, man, I remember when this was good. The new primary dinosaur is the Spinosaurus, which is they kind of introduce as like the new main villain, primary, scary dinosaur, basically. And the Spinosaurus is fine on its own, and there are a couple of scenes where I like the Spinosaurus. What bothers me is that in order to demonstrate that the Spinosaurus is like the new dino in town, they have like a Spinosaurus and a T-Rex fight where the T-Rex loses. And number one, the fight doesn't look good because it's all digital CGI effects that aren't the best. And the Spinosaurus wins in like 30 seconds. I get that this is just some random T-Rex, and I don't frankly care that much about it because it's not like one of the ones that I know and love. But what do you mean? What do you mean you're just gonna do a lame ass dinosaur fight that doesn't honestly need to be implemented? You can just make the new big bad dinosaur the Spinosaurus and not even like reference the T-Rex. They purely do it so that you, the viewer, are aware that the Spinosaurus is a force to be reckoned with. I'm like, yeah, but also counterpoint, you can just do that by making the Spinosaurus naturally intimidating. You don't need to have a shitty dinosaur fight where the T-Rex loses super quickly to prove that point. It just feels vain. The raptors are kind of weird in this one. Billy ends up taking a couple of raptor eggs. He keeps them in his little satchel, and so the raptors continue to go after the humans and follow them. Again, I'm like, wouldn't they just naturally do that if we're going based off of like the first two movies? But for some reason this movie's like, no, it's because you have the eggs. And then Alan saves the day at the end of the movie in a very anticlimactic way by using a 3D printed like raptor vocal cord thing, whatever. And at first he does it and the raptors look agitated, and then he does a different type of call and then it works, and then the raptors are like, oh, actually you guys are chill. Yeah, actually now that I think about it, you guys are fine. Hey, the thing about you stealing our eggs, don't even worry about it, brother. You're chilling in our book. You keep saying that these dinosaurs are like the smartest species ever, which is another thing that bothers me. They basically say that raptors are the second smartest species aside from humans to ever walk this earth, like even smarter than apes and primates. And I'm like, I don't buy it. And then you show them just kind of being like, oh, this guy that's like just learning and fucking around on a little like velociraptor call, making some random noises. They're going to be tricked by that. And then the other main dinosaur is the pteranodons. I'm not going to lie to you. The pteranodons got me like smiling and then kicking my feet a little. Not like in a weird way. It's just they're really fascinating to me. Honestly, they are what helped save this movie for me. So they're just really fun. I think some of their scenes are incredibly well done, and I really appreciate it. Now for the iconic moments, because again, I don't have as much to say about this movie because it's not that great. Looking down at the boat and just seeing blood stains. The opening of the movie is Eric and some guy are doing like parasailing attached to a boat, and they go through some clouds or whatever. They look down and they see that the blood no longer has humans on it, and there's just blood stains. I don't know what the fuck did that, because at this point there really shouldn't be dinosaurs out there. It doesn't make sense, but it's a really fun idea, looking down and just seeing the bloody remains on the boat. It's a great shot. Even if it doesn't make the most sense, I think it's good. Spinosaurus chomping that guy as the plane leaves. They're about to take off on a plane, and he runs onto the middle of the airstrip and is like, please stop, please. And then the Spinosaurus like runs over and like chomps him, and it's fun. The broken plane getting crushed and played with by Spino. They crash the plane, and the Spinosaurus finds it, and he's playing with it like a toy while they're all inside of it, and I like it. Alan barely not getting stepped on during the fight, like the T-Rex and Spinosaurus fight, because of the logs. This fight is stupid and I hate it, but there's one part about it that I like, and that's that Alan like trips and he falls in between two logs, so he's kind of sandwiched in between them like a hot dog. Like the Spinosaurus steps and it hits the logs instead of squashing him, so he's safe. The raptor thinking to go above the cage and then getting trapped in the door. The humans kind of like lock themselves in this cage, and then he sees that it's open on the top, so the raptor starts climbing to go up, over, and above, and then they push the door, which is what the raptor is climbing, and he gets locked in like this little corner. The sat phone ringtone, it's just iconic in general, and also the fact that it gets trapped inside of the Spinosaurus. You hear the ringtone coming from the Spinosaurus. Again, does it really make that much sense? No, but it's fun. And then here's the best shot in the movie. Eric is crossing a bridge. They're in like a bird cage and it's real foggy, and Eric goes to cross this bridge, and through the fog you see a figure, and it's a pteranodon, and then the pteranodon slowly emerges from the fog. Yeah, that shot alone, perfect. No notes. I love it. Mostly any scene with the pteranodons attacking or intimidating or carrying the humans. Again, this movie, it kind of gets saved by the pteranodons at the end. I think the movie gets better over time. And then the boat cage scene where with the Spinosaurus, they're on a boat and then the Spinosaurus is swimming through the water and it attacks them while they're on a boat. They get inside of a cage that's on the boat. It's a great attack scene. You see the Spinosaurus in the rain, and then there's also fire because gasoline spilled in the water and it gets lit on fire. So it's a great scene. And then this is also where the character having one talent comes in handy. Kirby father, they mention he's like, yeah, I've been doing swimming lately. So you can imagine his swimming helps save the day here. And then that's it. That means it's time for the next movie and the start of the world. Well, I guess it's not going to be a trilogy. the First World trilogy, maybe, because Rebirth is also whatever. Who cares?
It's not about control. Stand down. It's a relationship based on respect.
Jurassic World from 2015. Here's the deal. I think that this movie is fairly mid. I still think it's fun. As like a whole, I think it's fairly average. One of the things that happens when you rewatch or watch an entire franchise sequentially, like within a relatively short-ish time span, is you notice a bunch of things about like the franchise as a whole. What I realized is that the World trilogy actually like kind of takes a lot of influences from the Park trilogy. And I think that this one kind of is the most samey to the original in a way where it kind of is a detriment. It's not like it's just paying homage. It's kind of outright just trying to be the new version of that movie, but obviously you're not going to be as good as Jurassic Park. To kind of explain what I mean by that, let me go through it, right? There's a lead character that's focused on something else and doesn't really care for the kids that much in the beginning. In the original, that's Alan Grant. In this movie, that's Claire. They learn to love the kids and then protect the kids. Claire doesn't actually get to do as much protecting in this film because the kids are on their own for a while. Also, Owen is here, so he's doing a fair amount of it too. Most of the early section of the movie is kind of just admiring dinosaurs and admiring this new world that we're in. We're kind of showing the beauty of the dinosaurs. This is when you get your Brachiosaurus, like, wow, sunglasses off moment, or you're at Jurassic World, the amusement park, and you see that there's like a petting zoo with baby triceratops that like kids can ride and stuff like that. You get to see the wonder of it all before it goes awry. And then there's a character that is skeptical and or against kind of like playing God. In the first movie, that's Ian Malcolm. He's kind of like he's the chaos theory guy. He's like, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and you're playing God, and you brought back carnivorous predator dinosaurs to a human world. In this movie, that's more of the Owen Grady role, where Owen is like, you're like manufacturing hybrid dinosaurs and you're making apex predators, and you shouldn't be doing that. Also, you want to use raptors for like military like purposes? No, that's fucking stupid. And then the rich guy's fallacy ultimately ends up causing things to break down. In this movie, the rich guy, his name is Masrani. His fallacy is that he wants to make cooler, more powerful dinosaurs. He kind of okays the creation of the Indominus Rex. In the original movie, that's John Hammond. He wanted to make predators. He made the raptors, and he thought that his defenses were impenetrable. And then there's a greedy guy that ends up causing problems with everything. In the original, that's Dennis Nedry, who's trying to make some bank out of selling the DNA stuff, and in doing so, he shuts off various like parts of the park's security systems, which causes more problems. And in this movie, it's a guy named Hoskins who is trying to use the raptors for his like monetary gain, so he can use them for fighting and stuff like that. He ends up like taking over and releasing the raptors, and that causes even more trouble and chaos. Kids are in danger. People die. And then the main villain dinosaur is taken down by the main quote-unquote hero dinosaur. In the first movie, the T-Rex, Rexy, takes down the raptors and saves the day. In this movie, also the T-Rex, also Rexy, in conjunction with the Raptor Blue, take down the Indominus Rex. So there's a lot of parallels, by which I want to say, they're kind of just copying a little bit. You know, at least World has been a theme park that is fully functioning for a while now, which we never got to see with Jurassic Park. There's only so much you can do with that before it's like, oh, you're just doing the same stuff, but like just adding more characters and doing more than what is necessary. Now let's talk about the characters, because the characters were a high point in the original. In this one, they're not. Owen is quite possibly one of the most nothing characters I've ever seen. You know how like there's the trope of like the Mary Sue character, where it's just a lady that doesn't really have any personality, is just kind of there. That's basically Owen, and he's meant to like be a strong, tough guy, but I don't fucking care. He doesn't really add anything to the movie. If anything, the parts that he adds to the movies is the bad parts. I think Claire's the best character in this movie by far. Again, I like that she kind of has the sort of Alan Grant development. She's very like into this park, and she's like, we need to be making money, we need to be making investments. The Indominus Rex, brought to you by Vitamin Water. And oh, my nephews are here. Babysitter, take care of them. And then when they're put in danger, she ends up like becoming this really cool role and just a badass. And then the kids, the problem for me is that there's nothing here that really distinguishes these kids from what could be any other kid or character. The older brother is just like, what's happening? Oh, don't talk to me. And then the younger brother, they quote him as being like a genius, but really he's kind of just autistic. I like that about him. He has more personality, at least. He's more interesting, I guess. I think the billionaire Masrani is kind of interesting. Basically, Masrani is kind of more the character that has that like one thing that helps save the day. He's learning how to fly a helicopter. So at one point he has to fly a helicopter, but it doesn't even help at all. It's not his fault, but he crashes it, and that causes more trouble. Also, Dr. Henry Wu is back. Henry was in the first movie. He was one of the guys that was like, he was the lab guys breeding raptors and whatnot. So Henry is back, and I really enjoy his development in this World trilogy. And here's the thing. I like the Indominus Rex to a degree. I think that the Indominus is interesting as a design and as an idea. I don't think that the Indominus is very well implemented, unfortunately. Like, I think the idea of a T-Rex and Raptor, Velociraptor hybrid is cool. And I like that the Indominus has like the camouflage ability. My main problem, it doesn't really feel much different to just a T-Rex or just some other dinosaur. It just feels like they're like, whoa, the first movie had the T-Rex, so this movie we're gonna give the T-Rex like fucking superpowers or some shit. I also am just not really much of a fan of the raptors in this trilogy. If you somehow don't know, Blue is like the main Velociraptor that Owen trained. That's what he does. He trains the raptors. In this trilogy, the raptors are basically semi-tamed. I think it's kind of stupid. I'm not gonna lie. I can understand why people like it, but I don't think it works that well. The whole World trilogy really feels like a whole big marketing scheme where they're trying to make a bunch of merchandise that they can sell to children. And to me, Blue is the epitome of that. I'm like, so you made a Velociraptor with a blue stripe so you can sell that toy to children. Capitalism, woo, yay! Also, it hurts the Velociraptors that Owen is attached to them inherently, because I don't like Owen. They do have some new dinosaurs. Well, like new kind of primary dinosaurs in this one. The Mosasaurus is here. The big swimmy guy, I like him. The pterosaurs are technically here. In this one, they're just kind of a thing that causes chaos amongst the actual amusement park. I also hate how infrequently they use practical effects in this movie. There was one scene where they use a practical puppet, and I noticed it because I was like, oh, that looks really good. That's how I noticed. And then I was like, but wait a second. They're just doing what they fucking did in the original. In this one, they use a practical Brachiosaurus puppet where it's like sick and dying, laying down on the ground, which is the same thing they did with the sick Triceratops in the first movie. And then there are various other moments where they absolutely should and could have used practical puppets, but they just didn't. There's like this whole thing where the raptors are in like these little head cages and just their head is sticking through. People are interacting with the heads and like touching them and stuff. And it looks bad because the shadow is noticeably not fucking real. And I'm like, if you made that a puppet, which is easy because it's a fucking stationary thing that's just the head, it would have looked great. But instead you used digital. Why? What the fuck is wrong with you? Not to spoil my overall thoughts and rankings because I do that at the end. I enjoyed it when I first watched it several years ago, and I still enjoy it. I still think it's fun. But I realized watching it that I didn't enjoy it as much, especially within like the whole span of this franchise. And part of that is because of its unoriginality. Now for iconic moments. The baby dinosaur petting zoo / riding / being able to ride them is adorable. Owen holding off the raptors, like where he does that stupid like toothless How to Train Your Dragon handhold thing at them, is iconic for all the wrong reasons because it's stupid as fuck. Indominus tricking the folks to let her free is pretty good. Indominus camouflage in the jungle is good. She basically lifts up this one guy and kills him up above like the tree line, and so like their tree like leaves with all the little holes in them, and then blood splatters across the top of the leaves and drips through like the holes in the leaves, and that was a really fun little shot. I like the little Mosasaurus show. The gyroscope balls are cool. They do get docked some points because Jimmy Fallon is there. The Indominus attacking the gyroscope is cool. The practical puppet Brachiosaurus. Masrani's co-pilot getting stabbed by the pterosaur sharp beak, like basically crashes in and its beak just stabs him, and it's really good. So the babysitter getting brutally killed, she is the most brutal kill in the franchise. I don't really understand the discord of people being like, that was too far. She didn't deserve it, right? Like she was just some fucking lady, but also she didn't not deserve it. Like she was a very fucking nothing character. She did a bad job babysitting. She like instead of watching the kids was on her phone like talking about like wedding planning or something. And again, that doesn't mean she deserved to die, especially not in that manner. But all I'm saying is she wasn't like some perfect saint that was tragically taken from us in this fucking dinosaur movie where people get killed by dinosaurs. Indominus gets to run away from an explosion and they look cool doing it. Hoskins gets eaten. Claire lets Rexy loose. My girl is back. And she does that ridiculous thing where she uses a flare, again, mimicking the Ian Malcolm thing, and she runs away from the Rex, leading it toward the Indominus Rex. But Rexy, as we know from the first movie, can run like 30 miles an hour after a speeding car, and Claire does it in heels. Is it ridiculous? Absolutely. Is it even stupid? Yeah, probably. However, I actually think it's incredible. I love it. Rexy and Blue team up to end the movie, which is a good contrast to the end of the original, where originally it was Rex versus Raptor. Now it's Rex and Raptor versus the Indominus. I thought it was a fun little, parallel or homage to the original. And then Rexy, to end the movie, gives us her beautiful roar off the top of a helipad. God, I love that girl.
Life cannot be contained. Life breaks free. Life finds a way.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom from 2018, aka Jurassic World 2. So I know that people are gonna come after me for this. I like this one. Sorry, I know that's a crazy thing to say, but I like this one. It's not perfect. It's not great even, but I think it's kind of fun. There are a lot of things introduced in Fallen Kingdom that ultimately end up making Dominion terrible. But in this movie, it's concise enough where I go, oh, no, that's interesting. And again, we follow the trend of the World trilogy kind of following the Park trilogy in a little bit. Much like The Lost World, this movie makes humans the bad guys and then dinosaurs are the good guys. It's not entirely the same because, again, there's a new, like, big villain dinosaur in this one. Basically, dinosaurs are being preyed on by humans in this one. And also there's, like, another new head of, like, InGen or whatever that is greedy and evil. And I think that this movie also interests me because it kind of starts the debate of, like, whether saving the dinosaurs that we've brought back from extinction should be a thing that we as humans should do. Obviously not we, because we haven't done that in the real world yet. I think that it is interesting, like, as a topic as a whole, and I don't think this movie does it perfectly at all, but I think that it kind of starts that conversation. The first World movie was kind of like, should we tamper with stuff and do hybrids? The point is kind of like, probably not, right? And then in this movie, they're like, well, the dinosaurs were extinct. We brought them back. Do we save them again? And I like that debate. And I think it's interesting because you can continue that discourse into real life where, like, as we're already kind of sort of seeing with like the Arctic wolves, like, we're already kind of starting to do similar stuff. Like, should we be doing that? And if we do, what are like the concerns environmentally that are going to kind of spread from that? Also, the characters are better in this movie. Owen feels like slightly more human in this one, so I appreciate that. I like that Claire has evolved into like being an environmentalist and like a protector, and she's really looking out for dinosaurs. Before, she was just looking at them as like a profit thing, and now she's like, no, these are animals, these are living creatures that we need to protect and look out for. Maisie is a much more personable character than the two kids from World ever were, so I like her more. And then they also have Zia. She's like a vet, a paleo vet or whatever, and she's a badass. She's not that important, she doesn't do that much, but when she's here, I like her. And similarly, Franklin is here. He's like the nerd, he's the tech guy or whatever, but he's played by Justice Smith, so I love him. And then the new bad guy is like a knockoff Ryan Reynolds basically, and his name is Mills, and he's like a one-note bad guy that only sees money signs, but you know, he's a good parallel to Ludlow from The Lost World, and he's fun enough to watch that it doesn't really bother me that much. The plot is pretty simple and it's slow on occasion. Basically, all of the dinosaurs that are free once again on Isla Nublar, suddenly there's volcano on the island and it's erupting and will cause the extinction of dinosaurs again. Now I know what you're thinking. What about Isla Sorna? Site B. What about those dinosaurs? How are they gonna go extinct? Yeah, I fucking know. This is one of the things that pisses me off about the fucking plot, about the plot continuity in these movies. Sorna is full of dinosaurs, and people fucking know that. I know that people know that because The Lost World and JP3 take place there, and both Ian Malcolm and Alan Grant talk about their experiences being on Sorna. In fact, a fucking T-Rex from Isla Sorna rampaged San Diego, so people fucking know that there are dinosaurs on Isla Sorna. But for some reason, they just don't exist anymore. But also they do, because they address it in Dominion. It grinds my gears, dude. It grinds them real good. Basically, they send Claire and Owen and Zia and Franklin to the island so that they can help rescue the dinosaurs. Mills says that he has like a sanctuary for them waiting. He's lying. He's going to traffic them. And they send him there because they need Owen to get blue. And then a lot of the movie takes place in the manor or mansion. This is the Lockwood Mansion. Lockwood was Hammond's partner in crime, basically, in designing this. Lockwood lost his daughter. In this movie, they say that Lockwood cloned his daughter, and that's what Maisie is. We learn that that's not the case in Dominion, but for now, that's all that matters, is that she's a clone. And I'm about to contradict myself because I actually think the Indoraptor, which is the new dinosaur, it's the new hybrid. I know it's part raptor. I don't know what the rest of it is, really. I actually think the Indoraptor is cool. Yeah, I think the Indoraptor is better than the Indominus Rex. Yeah, take that one. Checkmate. And I think the reason is because the Indoraptor feels more like its own unique creature. It has raptor in the name, but it doesn't really feel like a raptor. Like, it feels like its own distinct thing. The Indominus felt like a T-Rex with steroids. The Indoraptor feels like some weird freaky creature that just so happens to do like the claw toe tapping that the raptors do. Also, I think the Indoraptor just looks really cool. Like, its teeth look like stitch marks, like where they kind of zigzag a little bit. Now, iconic moments. The underwater Mosasaurus opening kill where there are people in a submarine. They're extracting a bone from the Indominus so they can use its DNA to make something, basically. And the Mosasaurus eats them. There's a painting of John Hammond in the Lockwood estate. I love that the Brachiosaurus continues to be the dinosaur that introduces people to this world. Zia and Franklin are introduced to like Isla Nublar by seeing a Brachiosaurus basically up close. There's a little lava fall inside of a building. I think that's fun looking. The volcano eruption looks like meteors, which, you know, makes it cool because of what actually happened to the dinosaurs. The gyrosphere rolls down the hill with Claire and Franklin inside of it. Owen getting surrounded by pyroclastic flow is iconic for all the wrong reasons. Notice how Owen gets these iconic moments, but for stupid reasons? Yeah, me too. The Brachiosaurus getting left behind on the island is genuinely the most emotional part in this entire franchise. Again, like I said, the Brachiosaurus is kind of like the mascot of dinosaurs for people and for the movies, like as the ideal, like awe-inspiring, beautiful, peaceful creature. Seeing the Brachiosaurus be left behind on Nublar as it gets surrounded by fire and smoke from the eruption as it cries out is genuinely so heartbreaking. Like, I'm not kidding you when I tell you I cried like a baby, and I have both of the times that I watched this movie. And I think that it hits me because some of these dinosaurs kind of feel like my own pet or my own children by proxy. And so it really, really hurts to see that happen. Genuinely, this is part of the reason why I like this movie above some other ones, is because it has the most impactful moment for me. Rexy's in her little cage snoozing and sleeping. She's looking cute and adorable. The Packy busting the humans out of jail. The Indoraptor close up on the face, like the profile of his face. Again, his teeth look like stitching. Baby Blue is cute. We see a video of Blue as a baby. Better than Beta, by the way. The Indoraptor literally smirks at the camera and plays tricks with this guy. I'm not gonna pretend that it's not stupid. The Indoraptor's literally smirking into the camera, like fourth wall breaking, and I go, that's stupid. I fucking love it, actually. There's a bedroom scene where Maisie is hiding under the covers and the Indoraptor is like reaching out with its claw like over the bed, and it's just fun horror stuff. Maisie hides in a dumbwaiter and struggles to close the door, and it's a callback to when Lex was in the little kitchen drawer and couldn't close it, so that was fun. The Indoraptor dies by falling on top of a Triceratops skull and gets impaled. Maisie sets all the dinosaurs free, letting them loose into the United States of America and the world at large. And then Rexy gets to eat Mills, the bad guy, and it's a fun homage to Eddie's kill in the Lost World because a Carnotaurus comes over and they rip Mills in half together. So I like the homage. I like that Rexy gets to be a part of it. So it's time for the next fucking movie, which is the last one.
A baby raptor?
I made a promise we would bring her home.
You made a promise to a dinosaur.
Yeah. What?
Jurassic World Dominion from 2022. This one's bad, folks. This one is very annoyingly like stereotypical Hollywood, where it just falls on a lot of the same tropes and pitfalls as other movies. It has like that generic bland humor that isn't even funny at this point, and like they nostalgia bait you with bringing back characters and whatever. Ellie, Alan, and Ian are back. Also, just because I'm the kind of guy that likes to mention these facts, Ian Malcolm was in Fallen Kingdom at the start of the movie. He's in Dominion, he's in Lost World, and he's in the original, which puts him at 4 movies, making him the character to be in the most Jurassic movies. But actually, there's a tie because Henry Wu is also in 4 movies. He's in the original, he is in all 3 of the World movies. So there's that for you. They also just kind of like have characters doing shit that is kind of incorrect for who they are as characters. Like the script is pretty awful, but the actors themselves are carrying heavily. Like they are saving it as best as they can. Well, the actors for Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm are doing that. I'm not even like exaggerating. There are roughly 10 main characters with 3 cameos who are just kind of there shortly. They were in other past movies and they show up here. And 12 out of the 13 that I'm counting of these characters survive. I don't need these people to die, but it's a Jurassic World Park movie. People need to die. That was kind of like one of the problems I had with Jurassic Park 3. Almost everyone survives. Alan survives. His mentee Billy survives. All 3 of the Kirbys survive. So that's 5 people. This one has fucking 12. I'm gonna list you off the characters as I feel what they do in the movie. Owen is boring.
I always come back.
Claire is kind of just reduced to being a generic mom. Maisie is actually fairly good. She has a fun personality in this one. I think she does a good job acting, and she has interesting drama/trauma with her biological mother, Charlotte. Ian is Jeff Goldblum. Alan is portrayed beautifully, but he's not important. Ellie is here and portrayed beautifully, but she's here so that Alan can get with her so they can resolve their weird relationship thing they've had for the past however many years. Dr. Henry Wu is Baby Girl, and I love his redemption. Kayla Watts is a lesbian, but she also pretty much just adds more of that shitty Hollywood humor, so whatever. Ramsey is a cool dude that would have been a great main character in a less full movie. And then Louis Dodgson is an interesting bad guy because he acts like a real billionaire, and in parentheses I said lizard person. The general plot is there's a new competing company basically, and they're called Biosyn. Lewis is like the leader. Ramses is kind of his underling, but Ramses realized that he's doing diabolical shit, so he calls people to help, which is how Ellie and Alan get pulled into things. Ian was already there, and then everything else is Maisie and Blue get kidnapped and they're brought to Biosyn, which is how Claire and Owen and the lesbian girl get brought into things. Biosyn made locusts. They biologically engineered locusts that attack crops, and they did it so that they'll attack crops that are not Biosyn seed. This is also something very similar that we see in real life. Ellie is basically realizing that this would cause like millions of people to starve. Biosyn also has created a sanctuary full of dinosaurs, and this is where they mention that they got like most of their dinosaurs from Isla Sorna. I'm fine with them getting dinosaurs from Sorna, but also if that's the case, the dinosaurs either were safe or were not safe, and either way, the dinosaurs going extinct thing from Fallen Kingdom is stupid. Additionally, Lewis has the Barbasol can, like the original one from the original movie. So hypothetically, Biosyn was like the competing company that was trying to buy the DNA from Nedry, right? That's fine. How did Lewis and or Biosyn go to Isla Nublar full of dinosaurs, find the Barbasol can covered in mud, and then why when you just fucking took dinosaurs anyway? You took dinosaurs from Sorna, so why do you need the Barbasol can with the DNA? It's stupid. It's one of those things where it's a nostalgia bait, like, see the Barbasol can? Is it that cool? I'm like, no, it doesn't make any fucking sense, dude. Anyway, more parallels. This movie also centers around the kidnapping of children. In 3, it was Billy that took the raptor eggs. In this one, Beta, which is Blue's daughter, which Blue gave birth to asexually on their own, is kidnapped, and Maisie is kidnapped because they are both crucial to understanding genetics. Maisie was actually a clone of Charlotte that Charlotte gave birth to herself, and Charlotte had a genetic disorder that killed her, so Charlotte fixed Maisie by doing something with her genes. So basically, Henry Wu is going to use Maisie and Beta to kind of put together these things to figure out how to genetically craft a locust that would be able to wipe out the entire new evil locust population. Also, they do that thing where they make the logo. There's a circle waterfall statue thing, and Rexy walks behind it, so her face is framed in it like the Jurassic Park or World logo. And then I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, I forget what it's called, Therizinosaurus or something. It's the dinosaur with the long claws. There's a shot from like behind where they show like the Therizinosaurus claws, and it has 3 claws, and they go through the circle. To me, it looked like the 3 slash marks that they use for the JP3 logo. I wasn't sure if it was intentional, but it looked like they were making the JP3 logo. There are other callbacks. Both Alan and Owen have the "don't move" line, which honestly doesn't make sense for Owen to say that. The Dilophosaurus kills the bad guy. Lewis dies to a Dilophosaurus. And there's an upside down spinning car. Ian once again uses a light source to attract the Giganotosaurus away from the others, like Rexy in the first movie. Also, this movie is just long, and that's a detriment to this movie because there are too many storylines and too many characters that it's trying to juggle. There are so many parts and sections that could have been cut short or just cut entirely. There's a whole long scene where Owen and Claire go to Malta, and it's like a fucking shitty James Bond type of thing to pull. It serves no purpose, really. It truly doesn't. It just gives Owen another reason to ride a motorcycle and do stunts. I hate this whole section with a passion, and I think it should have been deleted from the movie. And then, dinosaurs aren't even really the main focus of this movie. The main one is the locusts, and the second one is Maisie and, her whole understanding of herself and her mother and all that, her biological mother. Both of those storylines are interesting on their own, but I'm not sure that's what people want from a Jurassic movie. I think they're interesting. I like contemplating them as ideas, but implemented, as they're implemented in the movie, it's just kind of a mess. And then the dinosaurs, there's maybe a 30-70 approval disapproval rate for me in this movie. I don't think the dinosaurs are good here for most of the time. One thing I do appreciate though is they do use a lot of practical puppets in this one, and I give them credit for that because it always looks good when they're practical. Again, I don't necessarily love all of the scenes with the dinosaurs, so it doesn't really matter to me all the time, but I like that they at least look good in those scenes. There's Alloraptors, I think, in Malta. Again, I hate the Malta scene. I don't like the Alloraptors. They don't do anything that I care about. There's a whole scene where the plane crashes on the ice, and I don't know what kind of dinosaur it is. There's a big feathered guy, and he decides to swim under the water and do a fucking stupid swim at Owen as he plunges, and it's a frozen lake. None of them react to this being freezing cold water. The Giganotosaurus is kind of meh for me. I just can't be bothered because really nothing happens that much in this, you know? The Therizinosaurus is pretty cool though. Beta is merchandise, and then the Dilophosauruses are good, and then Rexy is always beautiful. Hey, this is editor Ryan. I was finding clips and stuff, and in doing so, I came upon an incredible discovery that I didn't actually notice while watching the movie. At the end of Dominion, Rexy gets to have a family, like a little T-Rex family with Buck and Doe. This is honestly huge for me. Number one, it's just cool seeing Buck and Doe again. But number two, the fact that Rexy doesn't have to be alone anymore as like just her own solo Rex, it makes my heart feel full.
The animals will live there free, safe from the outside world.
Now it's time for me to talk about the iconic moments. Ellie and Alan say each other's names.
Ellie Sattler.
Alan Grant.
It's one of those Hollywood things that I think is stupid. The locust swarm in like the glass box where Ellie and Alan are is pretty cool looking and fun. Claire crawling to the water and then hiding under it from the Therizinosaur is great. The flaming swarm of locusts looks cool and causes more fire trauma for the dinosaurs, which is sad, but okay. The many cast members end up slinking around this upside down car to hide from the Giganotosaurus. At this point, I think there's like 7 or 8 of them, and so they're all like slowly like creeping around this car to kind of hide behind it, and it looks ridiculous, but it's kind of funny enough where I go, no, I actually like it though. Ian crawls into the spinning car while it's upside down. Ian gets the Giganotosaurus's attention, and then the Giganotosaurus bites. There's like a cage around the ladder as Maisie is in it, so, and it goes like, ha! That was a cool looking moment. Lewis gets killed by the Dilophosaurus. There's like a herd of them, and I'm annoyed that it's off screen. I like that we see like the actual spit go in his face, but them actually killing him is off screen. This motherfucker was okay with starving millions of people. Show his death. Rexy shows her face through the circle. Rexy wins against the battle with the Giganotosaurus by pushing him into the long claws of the Therizinosaur. And then the movie ends with some nature documentary type shots of real wildlife combined with dinosaurs. All right, it's time for the final rankings at last of all of the Jurassic Park and World movies. Coming in at last place, aka 6th, is Jurassic World Dominion. I think that there are some fun sections. I think like JP3, it gets better as it goes, but it's still mostly a failure and does some stuff that kind of really annoys me and or pisses me off, and I'm like, wow, this was a bad way to end. Coming in at second to last or 5th place is Jurassic Park 3. Yeah, I just don't think this one is like that well put together. I think the plot is kind of, it's very simple and very basic, and I don't super appreciate the implementation of the Spinosaurus, and I think like the other dinosaurs, like the raptors, are done kind of badly, and it also doesn't look that great all the time, but I do really enjoy the pteranodons and that entire section, so it has some fun moments. The characters, again, Alan Grant really carries the movie. Ultimately, JP3, I don't think it's bad. Basically, what I'll say to distinguish these is I would not watch Dominion again. I would watch JP3 again. Now, coming in at 4th place, and I'm prepared to get crucified for this, is Jurassic World. Ultimately, I think Jurassic World I don't enjoy as much because on rewatch, I really understood that this was kind of just a form factor, like fill in the blank copy of the original movie. Because of that, I kind of felt like it was just not original. There are certainly things I enjoy about this movie. It is, I think, a fun watch. There are some good action sequences and some really fun, just like little set pieces that they do. And I like Claire. I think she kind of carries the movie. And like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Indominus Rex. I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think the actual like implementation of it was that great. And then coming in at 3rd place is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, no, it was, listen, I understand that this movie, a lot of people don't like it, and I was not going to put it that high. It being in 3rd place is kind of crazy. I think me rewatching this entire franchise kind of made me appreciate how like weird and distinct this one is. I like the idea of like dinosaur trafficking. It's a bad thing, but I like the idea of making that kind of like a talking point in the movies. And I like kind of the horror aspects of the Lockwood Mansion, and it has the most like heart-wrenching, impactful, emotional moment for me out of the entire franchise. And then coming in second place is The Lost World, Jurassic Park, aka JP2. I think that this movie is not perfect. It has so many great scenes. Like, to me, it kind of feels like a movie that is kind of like a sandwich. Every once in a while, you get an ingredient that you don't really fuck with, but like, because the other ingredients are there that you love, you're kind of like, I can tolerate it. You know, I can tolerate these worse ingredients. Also, hold on, give me a second. Hey, you're on camera.
Oh my god, Cameron, leave my new haircut!
Ellie got a new haircut.
And then she gave me the 80s style blowout. It was fantastic.
She gave you a blowout?
Yeah, she gave me a blowjob.
Shit. Ellie, really quickly, what's your favorite dinosaur from the movies?
The Indominus Rex.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Anyway, yeah, The Lost World I think is great. Well, I don't think it's great. I think it's good. Really, honestly, Buck in San Diego is just such a high point in this franchise that I really, truly fantasize about that all the time. But as a whole, it's a very fun viewing experience, and the dinosaurs are still done greatly. And then, of course, in first place is Jurassic Park, the original, because it's fantastic. It's a 5-star movie for sure. One of my favorite movies of all time. I think every single thing in this movie, every little bit is here for a reason, and I like all of the individual bits. There's not really a moment in the movie that I dislike. So Jurassic Park, the original, is of course the best. And if you disagree, I would be really curious to know why. But also let me know what your ranking is if you've seen them, or what your favorite dinosaur is from the movies. I know that not all the dinosaurs are like what they would actually have looked like necessarily, but I'm okay with that because this is fiction and they are fun as they are in the movies. To me, it also is like, yeah, we brought them back. We kind of just made them what we thought they would look like. Plus we're having to splice in like frog and iguana genes and stuff. So like, you're not really sure what that's going to make it look like, you know? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked, please like and subscribe. I enjoy having people around here and I love making these videos. They're hard to do. It's a lot, but you know, it's fun nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.